We're ready.
Here we go. Two Blokes Talking Tech, episode 389, take one.
Just do me a quick favour. I'll just hold that there. No, we're good. We're good. All right, where are we? I didn't set it up, but I'm assuming intro's at the top.
Intro, ID stings. Okay.
Giddy up, let's go.
Welcome to Two Blokes Talking Tech
Not a bad price.
with Trevor Long from EFTM.com
Really handy device.
and Stephen Fennick from TechGuide.com.au.
Episode 389, Two Blokes Talking Tech. Thanks to the good people at Uniden and Netgear. And we are today in the Tech Guide Theatre.
Soak it in, Trev. Soak it in.
Soak it in, folks. This is the first preview people have had. And we
Yeah,
talked about this for so many years.
We've recorded many shows right here. But this is the first time people have obviously seen it. So.
If you're watching on the video. If you're listening on the
yes,
podcast,
of course,
you're missing out. But what can I say?
Yeah.
But it's interesting because when I said, I come to you come to me, you go, get your passport out is what you said. I was somewhat disappointed when you sent me a photo.
Oh,
I thought, why are we not sitting on the couch?
Yeah, okay.
I mean, we've got recliners here.
Yeah, but I thought we'd sort of make it. Well, we're going to put the roadcaster
on my lap. That. Who knows? Anyway, we're not here to talk.
And I also, at your suggestion, I was facing, because behind the camera here is a 150-inch screen. Like it's pure, like it's just
size isn't everything, Stephen.
A white background, and you convinced me that no, let's have it aiming at all the Blu-rays.
People need to see
discs,
that you physically
and all
own
my Star Wars stuff.
A lot of discs.
Yeah, there's all stuff in the corner there you can see.
Anyway, you're taking up time when we talk about actual tech here on Two Blokes Talking Tech.
This is Two Blokes Talking Tech.
There's only one lead story. There was no debate this week. We walked in, we got the rundown, and we went immediately.
Yeah.
Huawei.
Big story.
This is...
I'd love $1 for every interview I've done.
This is... I mean, it's a hard call, but this is one of the biggest tech stories I've ever covered.
It is, absolutely.
And not just because of what it is now, but because what it could become.
The implications are, and people are talking that, like I've seen tweets, RIP Huawei. That's how serious this is.
I've said, and we'll explain this in a minute, but I've said this could potentially spell the end of Huawei as a global consumer mobile phone company.
Yeah. I don't think, though, they're going to take this lying down, of course.
No.
In fact, their chairman released a statement today. Did you read that? So they translated it and sent it out. And it seems that this is far from over. There's like a 90-day window where before anything starts being cut off, they're going to give them 90 days. But I'm sure between the two countries, we're talking US and China, there's going to be a lot of discussions because I think this is going to fall. It's not only going to affect Huawei, but many other American companies they're going to lose business, not being able to sell to Huawei.
Billions of dollars potentially lost.
Second biggest manufacturer in the world.
So let's rewind and some context. Huawei has obviously been in the headlines over the last couple of years because of many countries, but particularly here in Australia, because the Australian government made a decision to ban Huawei from providing mobile network services to Vodafone, Telstra and Optus to build their 5G networks. Now, that is one of Huawei's biggest core businesses, is building the towers, the bits, the antennas, the things that sit up on the telegraph poles. That's what Huawei makes.
Well, they built the Vodafone network and the Optus network, 4G network.
And which was always my argument. If the government has a problem with Huawei, I don't want to break it to you, they've been listening for ages.
That's right.
So
they're not going to dismantle the 4G network anytime soon.
Leaving that aside, and leaving aside my gripe that I guess we're all just believing the Five Eyes spy agencies because there is zero evidence, not a shred of evidence that suggests that Huawei's done anything wrong.
Absolutely right.
And in fact, the story last week that WhatsApp had been vulnerable and an Israeli firm had found a way to basically implant malware onto people's mobile phones is a much bigger security story than anything ever revealed about Huawei.
And that's Facebook. Facebook is the company affected, American company. That's completely right. Yeah, you're right.
That was the government's decision here in Australia, but that didn't stop Huawei selling mobile phones. They make great handsets. So two businesses, among others, mobile towers, mobile handsets. And their sales last year of the Mate 20 and the P20 went up 200, 500%. Big time year last year. Yep. This year they kick it off with the P30, which we both have absolute huge raps on. Yeah. And
is yours still working all right? Or?
I've moved to the Pixel, but it was working fine last time I used it.
Yeah, me too. I had my SIM card in it actually the day of the announcement, and I had a couple of calls drop out, but I wasn't suspicious at all. I was thinking it's still going to work on me, all right.
So what happens is, they're selling well the P30 as well,
very well,
and then the American government make a decision to place Huawei on a trade blacklist. And what that means is no US company can sell goods or services to Huawei.
Yeah.
And that's like...
including Google.
So from a handset point of view, and I don't have the Huawei here, but think about the glass, the plastic, the whatever it is, the main components of the phone, they actually make themselves. They're making their own processors, all these things. But they're buying Gorilla Glass from America. Yeah. There's no doubt they're buying little bits, semiconductors and things.
Plenty of things Qualcomm's an American company.
But they've created their own Kirin chip.
Yeah,
so
they have. Yeah.
Let's just pick Gorilla Glass and a couple of semiconductors, just a tiny bit of componentry. Potentially millions, if not billions of dollars of lost revenue to those companies. I wouldn't want to have shares in Gorilla Glass.
And it's not like Huawei can turn around and say, we'll make our own semiconductors. It's a 10 years for them to get that up to speed
or they have to source their own.
Yeah.
And so outside of the hardware, there's the software. And this was the big story because it looked like Google had come out and said they're going to brush them, but actually they were just following the government's orders. Yeah. Google, who create the Google Android operating system, will no longer provide software and services to Huawei as a result of the government's decision. Now, Huawei's point is that Android is an open operating system. The Android open source project, AOSP, it means that anyone can make a mobile phone and put Android on it for free.
Yep.
But that version of Android does not have Google Play, Google Services, Gmail, YouTube. It doesn't have those things built in.
Security updates.
And you think about when you turn the phone on and how the setup process goes, it's seamless because of that Google process.
Yeah.
So any Huawei phone, assuming this black ban continues, any Huawei phone from this point on is going to come out of the box. It's going to have Android, and you can run any Android app.
Yeah.
But you got to find the app. You got to get the app. They've got to build their own app store. There's going to be a whole new process.
There is already a Huawei app store. They've already
there's a Samsung app store too. But who the hell's using that?
But I think the problem is going to be that anyone who's got a current Huawei device or is thinking of buying one, which this would have spooked a lot of customers, that you're stuck in the past. So if they release Android 10 tomorrow, you'll forever have Android 9 on your phone.
So here's my defense of current Huawei customers in that regard. I got to be honest, I've played with a lot of Android phones, and very rarely do they ever actually get the software updates properly.
Yeah.
Like, when Apple releases iOS 13, within a month, nearly everyone's got it.
And Apple makes a point of that too.
Correct.
Apple makes a point of how quickly their customers upgrade.
Whereas Google release a great new software, and then it's got to go through Samsung and Huawei and Optus, and then it's got and Oppo. Then it's got to go through Vodafone. It takes forever. It rarely happens. And I'll tell you right now, I don't care. If I was a P30 owner, I wouldn't care that it doesn't get Android Q. Yeah. What I care about is security updates. And Huawei said they're going to continue to deliver those.
Google actually have made a statement about that they are going to have the updates. But here's I think there's still a lot of things that needs to be sorted here. And I contacted all the telcos to see what the situation was with, because let's face it, there's a lot of customers that have got Huawei devices on plans. Yep. So if you signed a 2-year contract 2 months ago for a P30 Pro, you're going to want to think that at the end of the contract, your P30 Pro is still running the latest version of everything. So how the telcos are going to handle this, I think, is going to be really interesting. Whether a customer's got the right to say, well, I went on a contract in good faith, hoping to have a device that's going to be updated. I want this. I don't want this anymore. Give me something new.
Yeah.
But the other thing that I got thinking about how they distribute their Android updates, because they often come through the telcos.
Yes, that's
so.
Right.
Is this a loophole for Huawei because Google would be doing business with Telstra and Optus and Vodafone?
Yeah.
Is this a way, like a backdoor for Huawei to potentially receive the update through the telco, or
do you know what?
Will Google be awake to that?
Even let's just say it is. And so what I've said to people is, look, let's just park the concern around existing Huawei phones because frankly, we don't really know what's going to happen, and there's no way they're going to stop working. And that's the critical thing. If you've got a Huawei phone, it's not going to stop working.
Yeah. You won't get many updates, but it'll run.
No, but again, I've never had someone say to me, I don't have Android P.
Yeah.
Like, it just doesn't... I don't think Android is as well followed as an OS.
No, I agree.
As Apple is.
But I think probably the
app updates,
the biggest concern too is not having access to the Play Store.
And that's my point. You can build the Huawei App Store, the Samsung App Store, but I'm telling you right now, Samsung releases a phone that runs, even if it runs the Google Android, but it doesn't have Google Play, it only has Samsung's App Store.
Yep.
People are going to be going, where's the bloody App Store?
Yeah.
It's just not the same. I'm sorry.
We should also...
if the P the Mate 30 comes out at the end of the year, and it is a spectacular camera, amazing performance, great battery, and it's got stock standard Android with Huawei Play Store.
Yep.
I can't recommend it because we'll get too many bloody calls from people going, how do I do it? Like, it's too hard to have a third operating system.
That's not due till later this year. We're talking November.
Well, that's what we're talking about. They've got to roll those. They've got to build those devices in the next few months.
Absolutely right. You're right. But the other thing that people should know about is the fact that in China, it's a different story. In China, they've got a whole new operating system just for the Chinese customers because Google's banned. You can't use the Play Store. You can't use anything. So and my info is that Huawei have been preparing for this.
Oh, totally.
For the last few years, they've been knowing that this day could possibly come. And they are prepared with an OS that will be Google backwards compatible.
You can be prepared all you like.
Yeah.
It would be arrogant to think that having an OS that looks, feels, and works like Google Android and has an app store that has all Instagrams and things, it would be arrogant to think people will immediately go, sweet, no dramas, I'm still buy that. I
want to find the statement that was made by the Huawei founder.
Yeah.
And he had some interesting things to say. But also, before I get to that, Huawei's statement earlier in the week, which assured customers, they said, look, it's kind of business as usual. Will not impact customers, anyone with a Huawei phone or those that are planning to buy a device. It's all good, they're saying. We want to assure customers. But they brought up a really good point here about how they've worked with Google in the past.
Oh, yeah.
They've done a lot of work to make Android better.
And the number of devices they've sold is a very high number, probably only behind Samsung when it comes to Google's Android. So they're essentially putting pressure on Google to say, listen, do you really want to go ahead without our weight of devices in your court?
I've got the transcript of Ren Zhengfei. He's the Zhengfei. He's the founder of.
I don't know.
I hope I said that right.
Yeah.
But he was asked a few questions, and naturally it came around to the restrictions, and he was aware that 90 days they've got that to be prepared.
Yep.
He said something really interesting. I'm just trying to find it now. He said, we've been receiving support from a large number of US component and part manufacturers over these years. In the face of the recent crisis, I can feel these companies' sense of justice and sympathy towards us.
Yeah.
2 days ago at around 2 or 3 a.m., one of Huawei's rotating chairs called me, telling me how hard our US suppliers have been working to prepare goods for us. I was in tears. As a Chinese saying goes, a just cause attracts much support, while an unjust one finds little.
Yeah.
So they're obviously hurt over this.
What they're basically saying is the US companies who are providing whatever part it is are now working 24 hours a day to build as many of those things as they can so they can ship them in advance.
Them,
and if there's some negotiation. Now, let's not pretend to be trade experts here.
No.
But this is not about Huawei and Google at all. This is about China,
US
and America. China. I don't even begin to understand it, but they've just picked the biggest target, and they've gone, let's do that. And the funny thing to me, the irony of this whole thing is the most affected individuals, not companies, but the most affected consumers around this ban are in Europe, Australia, and Asia, not in America, because they don't sell Huawei phones there.
I know.
It's just hilarious.
But he went on to say that US is a country ruled by law. US companies must abide by the law, so must the real economy. So you guys from the ministry should not always blame US companies. Instead, you should speak for them. The blame should rest with some US politicians. I don't think we should throw blame indiscriminately without knowing whether it will fall on the right persons. We may end up targeting the wrong person if we do. The media should understand that these US companies and Huawei share the same fate. We are both players in the market economy.
Which is what I said earlier.
Suffer. Exactly. They're going to take a hit.
And I don't know whether Gorilla Glass is a public company, but if they lose even 10% of their business, that's a huge problem for them and their forecast going forward.
Okay, so the losers in this situation is obviously going to be Huawei, customers.
American companies that make money off selling to Huawei, Australian consumers, English consumers, and
meanwhile, Samsung be popping champagne corks, saying
and Apple, everyone.
They're going to really benefit from this.
Now put yourself in Tim Cook's shoes and say, rightio, you could sit back and go, how good's this? You know, that's a whole market destroyed there for Huawei. But
not quite yet.
But
I've got faith in this system.
Totally,
get back.
Hear me out.
Yep.
But what other impacts could occur here? So what happens when the Chinese government goes, well, rightio, none of you can deal with Apple?
Yeah, you can't build Apple in the US, but I thought of that. I've thought of that.
If it's a trade war, what's to stop the Chinese?
Exactly.
Doing the exact same thing.
The cost of the factory pricing for building an iPhone may make an iPhone more expensive.
They might just say,
but I think China,
get out of our country.
But I think China is a lot more competitive than that. I think that if they say Foxconn, which is a company that looks after builds Apple devices, if they turn around and say, right, Tim Cook, because of you're doing this to our country, we're going to up the price of your iPhones are going to cost 25% more to manufacture. They'll go somewhere else. They'll go to another Chinese manufacturer.
No, they already are building phones in India.
Or they'll go to Mexico, or they'll go to Thailand or Vietnam. So it's not like they can just say, well, stuff you, we're just going to lift the price.
But again, I get that that's a very simplistic way to look at it, and that's all we're doing is simplistic stuff here. But those things take time too.
Yeah, exactly.
So
you can't just make a decision overnight.
This whole thing could set in motion a change in the rollout of the Mate 30.
Yeah.
If it was retaliation, it could do something to the iPhone. Who knows?
And funny enough,
Samsung's the winner.
2 days ago, they released another phone. They had a launch in London of their an Honor device, which is like a sub-brand of Huawei. Yeah. That went off. That went ahead as usual, and they were talking about all the features and all the updates and things like that.
I think the bottom line, the message from me to Huawei owners is: don't worry, don't stress. If you've got a Huawei phone, it's going to keep working. It's not going to be bricked.
It will work.
It's not going to stop working.
Someone made a joke to me the other day. They said it's a good thing that they've got good cameras because that's probably all they're going to be from now on.
It's a good joke, but it's just not true, though. That's all.
I know, and that was a joke. I agree. It's still going to run. I've still got my P30 Pro running fine. What's going to happen in 6 months, 3 months, we don't know.
I don't want to call it a prediction, but my view is if this trade ban stays in place and Huawei are forced to release flagship phones without the Google operating system, their ability to sell mobile phones at the level they are now is over.
So you got to look, how this is obviously at government level.
Yeah,
this is Trump. This is Trump administration that are standing up to the Chinese. They're saying, well, doing something that previous presidents have not done in the past, and the fallout of this is going to affect a lot of people around the world. But it's the Trump administration kind of standing up for themselves and not getting pushed around.
Even Vinnick and Santos were talking about the wall though back in the day.
They were. Yeah, they had season 7. Good work. Yeah, they were talking about, they were talking about having the increasing the number of Border Patrol.
Border Patrol,
yeah. Great. Yeah. You up to that season 8?
We're just rewatching it.
Yeah, we're West Wing fans. We love it.
Anyway, if you want details, there are plenty of articles at techguide.com.au and EFTM.com to help you understand. And if you've got a genuine question or concern, hit us up. We're happy to help on Twitter at Trevor Long, at Stephen Fennick. Everything about tech you never wanted to know. This is Two Blokes Talking Tech. So, Stephen.
Well, the other big news of the week is 5G. People, 5G is here. 5G is Telstra have switched on the network. They're getting ready with 2 devices. They got the HTC 5G Hub, which is a device that says you can take it on the road, or it can run up to 20 wireless devices at home and power your entertainment. And the Samsung Galaxy S10 5G, which we saw back in San Fran a few months ago. And they're going to be available from next week, May 28th. Tuesday. They go on sale. And that Telstra have kept their promise. 5G before the middle of the year, and they scraped in by a month.
They've scraped in pretty well there. Yeah. Now, the interesting thing about this is the kind of the battle, and you can imagine the conversations at a Telstra executive level, because who's first, who's second, who's third.
Did you get the HTC release first?
Yeah,
and then
so
about half an hour the Samsung.
The smart thing is Samsung can say first mobile phone.
Yes.
Because they're the first mobile phone on the 5G, and HTC can say they're the first device because HTC is not a mobile phone. And it's an interesting pivot really for HTC, because this will be their biggest business in Australia probably ever.
Try buying a HTC phone nowadays.
Well, but think back to their best phones in sales numbers. This will outsell it. So
absolutely.
This is a huge shot in the arm for HTC.
And one of Telstra is one of many companies around the world, carriers around the world, to take this product.
Yeah,
this
and
it's a worldwide device
to be honest,
on 5G.
It's so much more than what it looks like, because my initial thought was, you take a little Wi-Fi hotspot, right? But it's got a screen so you can see speeds and things. No. It's an Android mini tablet basically, so you can actually
running Android
install a whole bunch of things on it. But it is a Wi-Fi hotspot. So you plug it in at home, It's getting internet from the 5G, and you can use that at home either to replace your NBN, not to need NBN, or if you're a renter or someone who, share home, whatever it is, you've got your own internet and you've got it on the go.
Yeah.
Or if you're someone like you said who actually works on the go, it's battery powered as well, so you can unplug it. It's battery powered, and
it's
it can be
how big? About this big? It's about that big.
About that big? I thought you were going to.
We're not doing the heart. We love you too. We love you too. No, it's about that big, we reckon?
It doesn't really look like the normal, portable hotspot that you take away with you, but it's a cracking device.
About as wide as a phone, isn't it?
The whole thing, and the screen's smaller than a normal phone, but it's a cracking little device. 20 devices can connect to it, so pretty awesome little idea. It will sell well for the people that do want fast internet on the go, but the problem really here is, it's $100 a month for 100 gig, $104 a month for 100 gig.
Starting at 70 for 25 gig.
If you think you're going to replace
your NBN, in a day on 5G.
Exactly. This is the problem is the amount of data. So
we should sort of put this in context because Optus have a big push on their 5G home broadband.
Which is still in a beta trial phase.
It is, but they said the pricing will be $70 a month with unlimited data and minimum speed guarantee of 50 megabits per second.
And the reason,
that's pretty good.
But they've also announced some pretty solid. Dennis Wong from Optus put out some information, which is a tech guide.
Yes.
That they've been getting, 297 in nearly 300 meg downloads.
3 times the NBN.
But that's with like 3 people connected. Yep. There's going to be a lot of issues there, so that's why
but that's
it's
the thing
a minimum guarantee speed.
We should explain very quickly. 5G, the advantage of 5G isn't just how fast it is.
Yep.
It's also the capacity. So the amount, like you said, there's only 3 people using it, they get those speeds. It can handle a lot of people. So it can handle those speeds, a lot of people. Very low latency. By that, I mean that if you were to press a button on this end of the network and it would take 1 millisecond for it to react on the other side of the network, 4G would take 20 milliseconds to react. So the amount of devices it can run in one area, like a good example for the capacity is if you're at the football, at the grand final where everyone's trying to send a text message or upload a photo, and it won't work because everyone's hammering the cells, the 4G cells, and it's just too crowded. 5G, that won't be an issue. So a lot of advantages.
I'll give you the reason why that is, because you can travel faster on 5G. So imagine we were all in P1, for those in Sydney, P1 at the at Homebush. Let's say there's
car park,
10,000
P1.
Yeah, 10,000 cars there.
Yep.
And if you're at the top and you're at the back of the list, it's going to take an hour to get out.
I park where the charger is.
But if everyone can go 100 kilometres an hour out of there, you'd actually get out in 5 minutes.
If everyone can just go from whatever level they're on.
Yeah, so it's actually about getting through the network faster, which creates the capacity, and that's what's great about it. So then you've got the HTC Hub, you've got Samsung's 5G version of the S10. Which is a beautiful device, and all the people that
it's out of your hands, 6.7 inches.
All the people that pre-ordered the Galaxy S10 Plus get this upgrade for free. Even if you live in Timbuktu, you got 21 days to go and get a brand new phone.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll still work on 4Gx.
Well,
it'll still work.
That raises a good point because it's critical that you know where 5G works.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
And
I had these maps.
I put all the maps up at EFTM.com. Look, the bottom line is
I did the same today, mate.
It's
who's saying I'm copying you?
Oh, lots of people.
Oh, you put Well, how's this, right? Yeah. Can you find your place on the map?
Yeah.
Mate, I am in the guts of it right there.
Yeah.
We are sitting right in the middle of that little purple patch.
By June 30.
I understand that, but it's still, we're getting it.
Yeah, and you know why? Because you need the airport, and they want to cover the airport because they want people. So this is one of the things.
So no airports out your way, mate, eh?
Nah, thank God. One of the mobile phone companies was saying to me, one of the advantages they want to show off is when you're at the airport and you go, I should download a movie. Boom, download the movie. Boom. It's
1
there.
second later,
while you walk
bang.
from going boarding pass and sitting down, it could download.
Bang.
I'll
be giving that a crack.
It's gonna be great, but the coverage is very, very limited. So just remember, even with the HTC Hub, you can buy that, not be in a 5G area, and still get excellent speeds.
And same deal with Optus too. Optus have a system where you register interest. You can have an expression of interest. So if you say I'm living, wherever you're living, and you can say you put down your name and address, and when that reaches you,
no. But the difference is with Optus, they'll ring you and say it's in your area now. Boom. But with Telstra, you could buy the 5G Hub on Tuesday, even if you live near me.
Yeah.
You won't have 5G at home, but you'll get incredible 4GX
still
speeds.
Get 4GX, which is still up to a gigabit
and then
per
when
second.
5G comes, or when you drive into a 5G area with it, you've got it. So we need to be a bit cautious about how big the coverage is, because it is. But interestingly, even in Tasmania, Hobart and Launceston, not bad.
There's obviously CBDs, airports, capital cities. They've also thrown in Toowoomba and the Gold Coast.
Yep.
Well, the Gold Coast had a lot of 5G, remember, for the Commonwealth Games, a lot of demos up there. They've got a few places there, Launceston as well as Hobart. So plenty there. I think there's the Hobart map. Look at that.
And Hobart is pretty darn good. I mean, it's a small place. Let's be clear.
Launceston too. Melbourne, I was surprised. I thought Melbourne
tiny.
would be a bit bigger.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of downtown, isn't it?
It's only really downtown and a little bit into Richmond.
Yeah, they haven't gone really into the airport, have they?
But, the maps are in at EFTM.com, and if you wanted to copy them, they're at techguide.com.
Yeah, good. They're there as well. I know Trevor had them up first, but it was always on the list. It was always on the list.
It was always on the list.
But I'm excited about 5G.
There's no doubt. We're all keen to get a device in our hand, stand in the CBD and do a speed test.
Do you want to have a look?
Yeah, man, I've got 2 in the car. But do a speed test. We all want to see that number, but we've all got to be cautious of what that number means in the real world. Yeah. And remember, the number of towers required to build a 5G network is many times multiple that of which is required to build a 4G network.
So you're saying they need more or less towers?
Way more.
Really?
It could be 5 times more towers required, because the reach of 5G is so small.
Yeah, okay, and you'll see that the technology for all the operators is that they add the existing towers. They add a small radio on the tower, so it looks about the size of a laptop. On the tower.
5G is just a big Wi-Fi network.
Yeah.
And that's why they've got to put lots of the towers around.
So it's like going to be like a mesh system.
It is essentially one massive, super fast mesh network.
Yeah.
I mean,
so you're saying they need more towers,
way more towers,
more infrastructure.
And this is why when they say we're going to have 2,000 towers by 2020, it's like but if you've got 2,500 4G towers, and that's 98% of the country, what percentage of the country population is 2,000 towers?
I thought 5G had more range than 4G. Then 5G had more range than 4G.
No, it has better building penetration.
Yeah.
Things like that. That's why it's going to be used heavily in corporate environments.
Yeah, that's important.
But not in terms of general coverage.
Yeah, right.
But next week will be a big week. We'll show you the devices. We'll do as many tests as we can. Obviously at Stephen's house, because he doesn't have to go anywhere. The smart ass. What about that? That's just, I didn't even notice.
Right on my house, that is.
Right.
I looked at. I put the Google map next to it, thinking, yeah, that's right. Right here. Look, 5G. Can you feel it?
I hope you're in a black spot. You're listening to Two Blokes Talking Tech.